The world of Zelda is kind of crazy. You have undead monsters, crazy floods, glitches that allow you to break the game, and more. But there are also loads of claims and myths in my comment section that could either be true or false. For example, can a Cucco be killed in Tears of the Kingdom? Will Redeads revive each other when they die? And can you make the kids on Windfall Island fall out of bounds? Well, let's find out. One of the weirdest enemies I've ever seen in the Zelda games is the Peahat. Like, for real, what the heck is this thing? A flying circular saw that's also a plant? It is utter madness. But apparently there's a way to kill them instantly. One hit and it's over. Fiddlazor said in the comments that if you use a hookshot on them, then they will instantly die. Well, in Ocarina of Time at least. But the problem is, Peahats can only be found in the game when you're a kid. And during that time, you can't use the hookshot. So I decided to test this claim in Majora's Mask instead of Ocarina of Time, because finding a Peahat in that game is quite easy. Now, when I confronted this enemy and shot it with the hookshot, it did stun him. But that was about it. The Peahat didn't die. Sure, it was easier to kill, but that was about it. So yeah, as far as I can see, this claim is false. And also a bit confusing when you try this in Ocarina of Time. Now the next claim from the comments is a bit weird. In many ways it confused me when I first read it, because Sansa said that inside of the Ocarina of Time version of Death Mountain, there's a sign that has been placed twice in the same area. They are inside of each other, and when you play Zelda's Lullaby next to it, the signs will react to the song. Now, as you can imagine, this is a bit confusing and also vague, but still I went on a hunt, looking for this sign that could be anywhere inside of Death Mountain. But in the end, I couldn't find much, to be honest. Even when I looked around the entrance to Death Mountain, I couldn't find it. Sure, there were signs, but playing Zelda's Lullaby did nothing. So in my opinion, this claim is probably false, and was just posted to mess with me. In a lot of these myth-busting videos, I use cheats to get around in the game. It makes recording this stuff a whole lot easier after all. And so in Majora's Mask, I often transform into the mighty fierce deity in locations where it's normally not possible. But Quinn said that you can also use the mask with some glitches. So cheats aren't even needed. All you need to do is constantly dive and resurface at the shore of the Great Bay with the Zora mask, and then you just equip the fierce deity mask over it. He even said that there's a video out there showing this off. So I went online to look for it, and as you can see, the video is real. This is 100% possible, and there are many other ways to achieve this as well. So clearly this claim is true. So next time you want to run around as the fierce deity, just use this trick or any of the others out there, and you should be good. One of the most terrifying things I've ever seen in the Nintendo games is characters drowning in quicksand. We first saw it in detail in Super Mario 64, where it looked horrifying. And it made a return in the 3D Zelda games, where it also looked pretty spooky. Especially when you're at the Arbiter's Grounds, it's a big obstacle that you have to deal with. There's no way around it like in Ocarina of Time, where you could use the hover boots. Usually, the best approach is to just go, go, go. But apparently there's another trick that you can use to prevent Link from sinking in too deep. This commenter said that if you hold a bomb and it goes off, then the whole thing will reset, allowing you to get further. Now this sounded very promising. I imagined that something like this could actually work. So I went to the desert, entered the spooky dungeon, and tried it. Now when I entered the quicksand for the first time, I was too slow. You clearly need to have the bomb out before entering the quicksand. But when I did it correctly, the bomb did go off and it reset me. To an extent. I was still waist down deep in sand. So yeah, it does give you a bit more time, but it's not as useful as I thought it would be. But still, the claim is true. In an older video, we looked at a special enemy that only spawns when you kill a lot of the lesser versions. I'm talking about the Leevers that you find in front of the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time. If you kill enough of them, a big blue one that is more powerful than the others will spawn at some point. But after seeing the gigantic Stealth Children, which we covered in the previous video, Total Noob wondered, do these also grow just like the Stealth Children? Well, I had no clue, so I decided to kill a billion of them to see what exactly would happen. Now when the second one spawned, I noticed something. It was just as big as the previous one, and after killing more of them, they kept being the same size. So yeah, as far as I can see, these Leevers will never become any bigger, but they do keep spawning, making it a decent way to make money. But that's about it. So this claim is sadly enough false. It would have been cool if they actually kept growing in size, just like the Stealth Children, but that doesn't happen. Sometimes developers add certain items, models, or characters in locations that are inaccessible for the player. For example, in a lot of the old N64 games, stuff like coins can be found outside of the map, and developers just forgot about them. But then Adamir mentioned something in the comments that was completely new to me. 3 recovery hearts can be found in the Pirate's Fortress from Majora's Mask, but normally you can't access them. Now all I had to do to verify this was check the roofs. So using cheats that allow me to fly, I started looking around this crazy fort to find these hearts. And in no time I found the 3 hearts that Adamir was talking about. But are they really impossible to reach? Well yeah, there are invisible walls everywhere preventing you from getting there. I had to use cheats. So yeah, this claim is true, and I never knew about this. Alright, this next comment was a bit nutty. As we all know, Lynels are some of the most powerful enemies in the entire franchise. But according to some, they aren't that strong, and something like a boulder could even kill them. Because this commenter said that if you drop a boulder on one of these fierce beasts in Echoes of Wisdom, it will instantly die. Now this sounded incredibly far-fetched, but still I decided to give it a shot out of pure curiosity. And quite quickly I figured out that a Lynel doesn't care about this boulder falling on top of him. 9 out of 10 times, it doesn't even hurt him. And when it does, the damage is disappointing. So yeah, clearly a boulder is not stronger than this beast. In the last episode, we decided to commit a heinous crime, public nudity, because Nintendo gave us the option in the modern Switch titles. And overall, most NPCs have an interesting reaction when they see Link in his underwear. But Pokemon fans said that Parsi from the Riverside Stable will even call you a creep in Breath of the Wild. So I wanted to see her reaction. But when I arrived, she was asleep. But this only added to the whole setting. So I just confronted her without any clothes on. Now her reaction was perfect. First, she was mad that I woke her up, and then she screamed, "Where are your clothes? Get away from me, you creep!" Clearly, she was incredibly pissed off, and even when you talk to her after this, she still calls you a little creep. So yeah, I think out of all the NPCs in the game, she has the most extreme reaction by far. In Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, you will at some point obtain the Mirror Shield, which is a lot more useful than you would imagine at first. It allows you to reflect light, which is used for puzzles and to kill the undead. And during the boss fight in the Spirit Temple, you can even deflect magic attacks. But apparently you can also do this in Majora's Mask, because this commenter said that the magic energy balls shot by the Wizrobe mini-boss will bounce off the shield, and he even recorded the footage himself to prove it. Here you can see exactly what he means. The energy balls deflect off the shield right back at the Wizrobe. Now by the looks of it, you can't hit the Wizrobe because before the ball reaches him, he's already gone. But still, it's cool to see that this is possible, even though it's not as useful as you would think. Doing things out of order in the old Zelda games has always been possible, and speedrunners love to do this because it can save loads of time. And a commenter from the previous myth claimed that you can get the wallets in Majora's Mask out of order. All you need is the Goron mask, bombs, and hookshot. As soon as you have those, you perform the well-known trick of jumping over the wall to Great Bay. As soon as you're there, you can just complete the Ocean Spider House to obtain the adult wallet. As soon as you've done this, you can go to the bank teller, deposit 200 rupees, and obtain the giant wallet as a reward from him. And once again, he sent footage of him doing this. So as you can see, you can really do this out of order. But I will say, it isn't super useful. You still have to go through all the normal steps. It's just out of order. But still, it's cool that this is possible. In the previous installment of this lovely myth-busting series, we looked at riding Ingo's horse in Ocarina of Time, and after looking into that, a lot of people came up with new things I could test in and around Lon Lon Ranch. Diaiga, for example, claimed that Ingo's horse can't jump over the taller fence, and if you ride his horse, you can still trigger the race against him at some point, but you can't win without Epona. However, are any of these claims even real? Well, first I tried to jump over the tall fence with Ingo's horse. And as you can see, this isn't possible. I just end up running into the fence face first. And I tried this multiple times. So I tried to trigger the race, which required me to burn a bunch of rupees by riding Ingo's horse. However, no matter how often I did this, he wouldn't challenge me to a race. So who knows if you could win with another horse aside from Epona? Because as you can see, it isn't really possible. Well, in the 3DS version at least. Sadly enough, I didn't have a good save file on hand for the N64 version. Sometimes Zelda enemies have some weird behaviors. For example, in Twilight Princess, Ganondorf is obsessed with the fishing rod. However, sometimes I hear about new ones. For example, Lucas Adams said that the Redeads and Gyptos from the N64 titles will revive each other when one of them goes down. Now, I had never seen this, so I booted up Ocarina of Time and started killing some of the Redeads found in Hyrule Castle and underneath the graveyard seen in Kakariko Village. And to my surprise, the others did walk up to the fallen Redead as soon as it hit the floor, but after that, not much happened. At some point, the Redead corpse even despawns, and so the other Redeads will just walk away like nothing happened. So yeah, they do react to the whole situation, but as far as I could see, they do not revive each other or anything like that, which means that this claim is false. Once you go through a Zelda game a couple of times, you're usually less patient in later playthroughs. You've gone through the motions 100 times already, and so you often try to skip certain sections or complete them more efficiently. And Bob the Exile told me of a trick that would allow me to skip the entire maze section of the Sacred Forest in Ocarina of Time. All I had to do is summon the Scarecrow right at the start, and at that point you can just grab onto him with the hookshot to get on top. As soon as you're there, you can just skip the whole maze and go right to the end. But does that really work? Well, I went to the maze and played the song that summons the Scarecrow, and as you can see, he does appear, and grabbing onto him is very easy. So I was able to skip the entire thing with ease, which was great because man, these moblins can be quite annoying. So Bob was right. Now I will admit, most enemies in the Zelda games aren't that tough. It takes seconds to deal with most of them, but at times you will also encounter foes that are a bit more annoying. However, usually there are ways to bypass their defenses. And according to that Pikmin Orchestra, you can use the spores from the mushrooms in Skyward Sword's Faron region to stun enemies, which makes killing them a whole lot easier. Now this sounded pretty great, so I decided to check out if this was really possible, and quite quickly I got my answer. As you can see, it works incredibly well, and makes defeating enemies almost child's play. So yeah, this commenter was right. Now when I talk to people about the work I do, they often think that Nintendo is just adorable. They make games for kids, and they aren't that scary or bloody. But as we all know as longtime Nintendo fans, this isn't really true. I mean, the Arbiter's Grounds is already... sheesh, a lot to take in. And the Shadow Temple is also kind of terrifying, especially enemies like Wall Masters that all of a sudden drop on top of you. But are there ways to prevent them from grabbing you? Well, according to this person from the comments, there's a simple trick that stops them immediately. All you need to do is go into first person mode. If you do this, they won't grab you anymore. Well, until you go out of this mode. Now this sounded pretty handy, so I tried it. And as you can see, as soon as I go into first person, the Wall Master will leave me alone. So yeah, this way you can avoid them, but the effect fades pretty fast. Now this next claim is kind of crazy. When I read it, I was beyond skeptical because it didn't seem possible. Ashley told me in the comments that you can trick and manipulate the kids running around Windfall Island from the Wind Waker. If you lure them down the path that leads to the Salesman and position them correctly, they will clip out of bounds, falling all the way down through the map. Now this would be a massive bug in a game. So is this really possible? Well, I would say no, because when I tried to lure these children away from this square towards the Salesman, I noticed that it wasn't possible at all. They will follow you for a bit, but at some point they stop, and no matter what you do, you can't get them over there. I even tried to push them, and this didn't work either because they keep running in circles around me. So as far as I can see, this isn't possible in the game. Maybe if you use cheats or glitches, but that's about it. So yeah, this claim is false. Now that we're here on Windfall Island, we will look at another claim involving the Salesman, because apparently there's a small bug. Ashley also mentioned that if you play the Song of Passing while standing in front of the Salesman shop, then the game makes a mistake and starts playing the ocean theme and not the normal Windfall Island music. It will start playing the ocean theme and not the normal Windfall Island music. Now this sounded like a fun little myth to test, so I stood in the right location and played the song to see what would happen. At first, everything was fine. The song did what it was supposed to do, and I heard the normal music play. So I did it again to be sure, and this time I heard the ocean theme instead. So yeah, this claim is true. And in general, I've seen that this song really messes with the game and leads to bugs quite often. You can even see the whole island despawn for a second when I played the song. Really, the Song of Passing wasn't properly tested before release. Now in this video, we've already looked at a way to escape the horrifying wall masters that drop down on you in Ocarina of Time. Ruben Doomsday said that the jump/attack will also reset these foul beasts. So of course I had to test this one as well when I was in the Shadow Temple. And as you can see, this does work. The shadow and menacing sound effects disappear as soon as I perform this attack, which shows that there are multiple ways to reset this monster's behavior. And so Ruben was right. One of my favorite side quests in the entire franchise is saving Romani Ranch from the aliens who want to steal the cows. It's kind of weird and crazy. However, if you fail, the consequences are massive to say the least. Romani becomes a shell of her former self, but apparently you can come across her when the aliens return her, which was completely new to me, because Ashley said that she will appear in a patch of grass close to the house during the night of the second day. When I read this, I was super excited to check it out, because I had never seen this and it would be a really cool new Easter egg. So I ran around the house all night, waiting for Romani to spawn. But no matter how long I waited, she didn't appear. Only when the third day rolled around did I see her, sitting on a crate completely confused and lost. So I think she only appears on day 3, which means that this claim is false. And I really did my best to find her, but I found nothing. Now in most of the Zelda games, there's one being you can't kill, the Cuccos. Sure, in some of them they can be taken out, but in most, this is not an option. However, this commenter claimed that you can kill them in Tears of the Kingdom by trapping them and then using fire to burn them alive. So I did just that, even though it sounded kind of insane. I went to Kakariko Village, boxed in one of the Cuccos, and then used flamethrowers to roast him alive. Now of course, at some point he summoned his friends to attack me, but still I continued to roast him. However, no matter what I did, he wouldn't die. So yeah, I think this claim is pretty much false. These Zonai flamethrowers didn't really do the job. Now those were all the myths we had for this video, but don't worry, I have more videos like this on the channel that you can check out right now. Aside from that, be sure to leave your ideas below, because you might be featured in a video. Especially if you're a member, because then you're at the top of my list, just like Julian Lanning. And leave a like and subscribe, so you won't miss any future videos.